Breaking news, the Mavericks have made a signing. Derrick Jones Jr. is a Maverick. Welcome into Mavericks Today. Jeffrey Cooperstein, Harrison Graham here with you. Harry, the Mavs make a move.
Let's go, baby. We were just talking about, it's the dog days of the off season. Things might be slowing down. I think Nico Harrison watches the show, and he's like, you know what? You think things are dead? I'm going to go sign Derrick.
I'm going to give these boys some juice.
Yeah, give us the juice. We appreciate it. And potentially give the Mavericks a player that could do a little something this year, Derrick Jones Jr. And I think the key note here, Coop, fully guaranteed deal.
Yes.
This is not like the it was the Campazzo last year when they gave him the one-year deal, but it was non-guaranteed. It was like, he's going to have to prove it. Derrick Jones is going to be on this roster. He's going to be on this team. We'll talk about the implications of what that can mean for others, but a pretty intriguing signing, a guy who's bounced around a bit but is still only 26 years old. And let's just say this. This is why you subscribe to the channel. When the Mavs make a move, we have you covered, regardless of if they're trading for Kyrie Irving, that level of deal, or signing Derrick Jones Jr., we got you guys covered here on Mavericks Today. So help us out. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications. That way you never miss a video. Coop, when you look at the numbers, nothing is like super outrageous here. He is fairly efficient because he's not much of a jump shooter, so most of his scoring is around the basket. Elite dunker with that athleticism. But
2020 NBA Slam Dunk Contest champion.
That's kind of what you're getting, is a supreme athlete who's still kind of working on the skill part of the game, right? Like, he hasn't quite put it all together, but his athleticism has translated, which is why he's been able to find some minutes with some decent teams.
Yeah, and last year in Chicago, he actually shot his career high in three-point percentage, just under 34%, I believe. But that's just not what he does as a player. He's a guy who's a freak athlete, 6'6", or listed at 6'5" on Basketball Reference, so not exactly sure, but 7-foot wingspan. The guy has really long arms, and he's a very solid wing defender as well. He can guard 2, 3s, and 4s with that athleticism. Like I said, not going to shoot the lights out, but he's a guy that the Mavs kind of needed because they needed a backup for. It was Grant Williams and Maxi Kleber, and that was really it on the roster. You have guys like Olivier Maxence-Prosper who could probably play that role, but now the Mavs find themselves a veteran who's kind of been in the NBA before and is going to give them some experience.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point, the positional thing in particular, because Maxi Kleber will probably play some 5, especially in closeout situations where you play him at the 5 with his defensive ability, rim protection. Derrick Jones can give you some minutes at the 4, and I think you needed some of those for a couple reasons. One, Grant Williams may also get some run at the 3. Like, he'll probably start at the 4, but he might play at the 3 in some bigger lineups with Kleber at the 4 and, a Derek Lively at the 5, or Rashawn Holmes at the 5, whatever the case may be. Derrick Jones can play the 3 or the 4. He played some very small ball 5 last year. I don't really think that's his role personally. I think on this basketball team, most of his minutes will be in that 4 spot as a guy who can run in transition and play above the rim, but also defend multiple positions and bring some energy as well.
It'll be an interesting signing for sure. I'm not sure if he cracks like the daily rotation, but on a night in January where the Mavs have a couple guys sitting out, maybe just a night on a back-to-back where they need some rest, you could do a lot worse than Derrick Jones.
This is kind of how I look at it. You had Theo Pinson take a real roster spot for 2 years.
Jones is probably better.
Derrick Jones is playable. Like, he's got NBA athleticism. Like, he is very balanced. I'd say he's in the 90th plus percentile in terms of vertical jump and overall raw athleticism. Sure, he's not a great shooter, but he also kind of understands that. I think he took just over 1 3 per game last year. He's not going to shoot you out of a game or anything like that. He knows what his role is, play defense, be an energetic guy, and, a guy who can switch and guard multiple positions. So I think when you factor that in and consider it's only going to be a vet minimum deal, I'm going to give this a B plus, A minus. You could sit there and say, there's better options for a fully guaranteed deal, but for a vet minimum at a positional need, Coop, it's early mid-August. I mean, I don't really think you can consider this a bad move by Dallas.
I don't think you can give it an F or a D, especially if it's for the veterans minimum, which we assume it is. Obviously, a fully guaranteed contract.
I guess it could be part of the mid-level, theoretically.
It could be, and maybe that's how the Mavs got him if they gave him slightly more than the minimum. But no, you can't give it a D or an F. I would probably say it's more like a B minus. I mean, I'm not in love with the player, but he's definitely someone that the Mavs could use down the stretch, though.
And when you think about kind of the bigger picture, the roster construction, it's been reported for months that JaVale McGee's not going to be on this team. So at this exact moment, the Mavs have 15 players under contract, but McGee's not going to be here. So you're still going to be down to 14. So you still have one roster spot open if the Mavs want to promote an A.J. Lawson, or if they want to keep that flexibility and have an open roster spot for the regular season. If a trade does occur and they need to absorb an extra player, like, they've got room for that still, because McGee is not going to be here come opening day. I'm very confident in saying that. So you still have that flexibility. I did kind of think they would go the route of signing a vet minimum guy like this because they needed more wing help. He wasn't at the top of our list, Coop, but athleticism, vet minimum, I think that's something the Mavs have really tried to do this offseason too, is get athletic defenders.
Absolutely.
Williams in a sign and trade with Boston.
Derek
Lively and Prosper in the draft. Now you get Derrick Jones. Like, there's one common overlap with all of them. They're athletic and can play defense. And that's an area this team had to improve on after last year.
And Nico Harrison said as such at the end of the season in his exit interview. He said the Mavs need to get better on defense and they need to get more athletic. Well, it doesn't get much more athletic, than Derrick Jones Jr. or Derek Lively.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm intrigued to see how this plays out. What I also like, too, is he spent a couple years with the Miami Heat, a great player developmental program, had the best year of his career with the Heat a few years ago. So he's had some good coaching in the NBA. So I'm excited about that. Heat culture. Listen, we hate the Heat here at Mavericks Today, but you can't deny what Spo and his staff do over there in development. So hopefully he's able to bring some of that ability to the Mavs. And I said it before, Coop, he's only 26.
Yeah, he's still got some legs, or what is the word I'm looking for? Some juice left in the legs, I think, because...
And you would hope some room to grow still. Like, I don't think he's ever going to become like an Aaron Gordon. Like, I think early in his career, it's like, well, maybe he's the next Aaron Gordon, who's this freaky athletic guy, but he can develop a jumper and this and that. I'm not saying that, but, like, could he become an 8-point-per-game guy that shoots 35% from three? I think that's achievable. Like, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility.
And the reason I think that's achievable as well is because every single person Luka Doncic play with, their three-point percentage goes up. So,
and he's coming off a career year shooting, 34%.
If you're getting 35, 36%, while it's probably a small sample size, you'll take that any day of the week. From
10 to 12 minutes per game, in and out of the rotation for a vet man. I don't really think there's a downside here with this signing. Now, pull out your 2K pin here and grade Derrick Jones Jr. as a player, scale of 1 to 100. He's probably in that low mid-70s range.
I'll go 72.
71, 72, kind of what I was thinking. But the jump, whatever category, vertical.
99.
98, 99.
I mean, he won a dunk contest.
Yeah, he is freaky bouncy. So, grade Derrick Jones as a player down in the comments section.
So I wanted to ask you this. What do you think the next move is now that they signed Derrick Jones? Is it the trade for Clint Capella? Is it another trade that we might not have on the surface?
I think it's kind of a wait and see. Like, I think the Mavs are probably sitting here like, okay, we could go into the season with what they got. If a trade for Capella emerges, great.
Awesome.
There's been that rumor that Pascal Siakam could get traded soon. That's kind of picked back up. If Atlanta's involved in that, could they flip Capella to Dallas as a third team in that trade? That'd be awesome. Like, if this ends with you're where you're at and you get Capella, and that probably means you move Hardaway. I don't know how you could have really asked for a better offseason. Like, you've accomplished a lot if you get Clint Capella at the end of all of this.
Yeah, and kudos to Nico Harrison. He had a vision for what this team needed to look like after this offseason, and so far he's executed pretty much flawlessly. You'd obviously like a bigger upgrade at center than Rashawn Holmes, but like you said, that move might be still out there, and they could go get it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, Derrick Jones Jr., you are a Dallas Maverick. He's Jeffrey Cooperstein. I'm Harrison Graham. We'll be back soon with some more Mavericks coverage.